Hey, welcome back. Or if you're new here, good to have you. I'm Agent Monahan, and this is the channel where we take on the topics that everyone talks about but never explains. History, science, economics, politics, how things actually work. If that sounds like your kind of channel, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss it. Now, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about the industry of our dream, the space industry. We all are seeing the recent uprise of the rocket companies, and I am here to tell you where we are exactly. SpaceX is reportedly heading toward an IPO at a valuation of up to $2 trillion, possibly as soon as next month. That would make it one of the largest stock market listings in history. And the question that price tag is asking is a big one. Is it actually reasonable to expect the space industry to do something real in the next decade? Or are we about to find out we've been pricing science fiction? For most of the space age, getting a pound of anything into orbit cost about $50,000. That's not a metaphor. That's the price tag. Today, SpaceX's Falcon 9 puts a pound into orbit for around $300 in true cost. That's roughly a 100-fold drop. The improvement came from one issue being resolved: reusability. Until a decade ago, rockets were treated like fireworks. You built them, you fired them once, you threw them away. Then SpaceX started landing them back on a barge and using them again. The Falcon 9 now launches roughly every 2 to 3 days. It does over 90% of the commercial launches in the world. To give you a sense of the pace, at this cadence, the mission controllers can barely refill their coffee between launches. That cadence isn't a stunt, it's just to ride on the pace of development. It's all understandable now how much technology has improved. But where is the money coming from? SpaceX isn't just a rocket company. It's a satellite internet company that owns a rocket company. Starlink brought in about $11 billion in revenue last year, and it was the only part of SpaceX that actually made a profit. Those profits fund the next rocket, Starship, which is meant to lower costs again, which lets them launch more satellites, which makes more profit. The golden orbit is how SpaceX has stood as a private company with profit. For a long time, SpaceX had no real competition. But that's starting to change. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' space company, finally flew its big rocket, New Glenn, after roughly a decade of development. It's now ramping commercial flights with Amazon's Project Kuiper satellites lined up as its anchor customer. New Glenn is a heavy lifter, designed to go head-to-head with Falcon 9. Then there's Rocket Lab, the New Zealand-American company that quietly became the world's second most reliable small launcher. They're now building a medium-lift rocket called Neutron, targeted for its first flight this year. If that works, the small launch leader suddenly becomes a real medium launch competitor. And United Launch Alliance, the joint venture between Boeing and Lockheed that quietly launches most U.S. military payloads, now has its new Vulcan rocket flying. The U.S. Space Force just split nearly $14 billion in national security launch contracts among SpaceX, Blue Origin, and ULA. Translation: the Pentagon wants a competition, not a monopoly. The progress is truly remarkable, but what happens if things go south? Space schedules slip every time. NASA's Artemis program, the one meant to put humans back on the moon, has slipped Artemis II to 2026 and the actual lunar landing to mid-2027. The mobile launch tower for those missions was originally quoted at under $500 million and due in 2023. It's now expected in 2027 for $1.8 billion. That's nearly 4 times the budget, and 4 years late. Some may say home renovation in most cities has the same issue. But it is, a little concerning for a space program that is supposed to bring people to the moon. Cargo to orbit has gotten dramatically cheaper. Humans to orbit, and especially humans to the moon and beyond, has not. The physics is unforgiving. The safety margins are huge, and every component has to work the first time. Blue Origin's New Glenn took about a decade longer than Bezos originally planned. Starship is still being tested. The bull case is that all of this becomes routine. The bear case is that routine in human spaceflight has historically arrived about 30 years later than anyone expected. So back to the original question. Is it proper to expect real progress in space soon? The honest answer is, we don't know yet. The cargo-to-orbit layer is real. Costs have genuinely fallen by a factor of 100, and there are now 3 serious competitors shooting things to space. But the human side, the Moon, the Mars stuff, operates on a much slower clock, and the $2 trillion IPO valuation is pricing in things that haven't happened yet. The next 5 years will tell us which version was right. That's all for today. Hope that actually made sense of it. If you found it useful, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you catch the next one. Agent Monahan will see you soon.